Change. It's a word that can be seen as positive or negative. It's a feeling that one hopes to inspire in people. And in the world of music, it can be equally as polarizing. Step right up this episode's band, Stick to Your Guns. These guys are well known for their changing of styles and for making each of them feel as authentic as they can manage. After 13 years and 5 albums out together, their mixture of hardcore punk and metalcore can be seen as a strange mishmash of genres, as well as a bit generic as a lot of bands do it, especially those who started when they did. But no band does it with as many notable differences or positivity as these guys do. So, without any further ado, let's get this on like Donkey Kong. This is episode 6 of Backtracking, Stick to Your Guns. We start off with the band's first release in For What It's Worth. This could quite easily be considered their heaviest output despite being their first. Re-released in 2007 after initially being released in 2005, it's the only album by the band that I can safely label as more metalcore if anything. Sure, there are scotches and dashes of their better-known hardcore punk sound here and there, but in some places the album almost feels... It feels so heavy on the metalcore that it almost feels like deathcore at points. There's lots of brutal screaming in it. It's also possibly the most political, with songs like Fashion or Fascist, Fire with Fire, and my personal standout in Badger Brand. It's just a really good song, I recommend it. I love the album is good, and it's a really good debut, but it just felt kind of weird to me when I listened to it. To anyone else who's more used to their current sound, going through For What It's Worth might alienate you a bit, but trust me, it's worth it. Give it a go and see for yourself. We move on from that to the band's second album, Comes From the Heart. This is their shortest album at just under 27 minutes long, with the majority of the songs being over 2.5 minutes or less. Now, while this album does include more elements from their modern day, more hardcore punk sound, this is probably my least favourite album by them. It seems to just flip-flop between the styles too much, and it's too short to justify the inconsistencies of what they're going for. Sure, there are amazing songs on here that strike the perfect balance, like Impact, Accessory Children, and my favourite track on the album, Driving Force, but all in all, the album just doesn't coalesce that well. It's clear that the band wanted to change up their sound more, but I feel like they should have stuck to some of the heavier stuff from For What It's Worth and mixed it in better here. That sadly wasn't the case for Comes From the Heart. You know, they tried to do both things a bit too much, but they didn't really strike any good consistency with it, so, eh. Thankfully, all of the missed opportunities on Comes From the Heart, would be rectified and vastly improved upon in their third album, The Hope Division. Aside from having a name that's just really, really cool, and the album being the first of the bands to feature speeches from the likes of Gandhi and many other political figures, The Hope Division is the album that moulded the band's sound into what we know it as today. There's not much of a metalcore feel this time around, which is a very welcome change of pace in contrast to the first two albums. It also features the band's best song they've ever written, In Some Kind of Hope. Sure, there are other great tracks like the opener Where the Sun Never Sleeps and others like Faith and the Untamed and Amber, which might be the band's most popular song, but Some Kind of Hope is the standout amongst all of them. It actually feels like a message of hope, a message to not give up, and it's on an album that's very much based on the concept of hope, with the title to prove it. The entirety of it is worth a listen, and the closing track in Sufra/La Poderosa, is a great way to cap everything off. It's a really good album, and it's very much where the band first get their bearings. And thus we reached the first album by the band that I listened to in their 2012 release, Diamond. I have to say that I'm glad I got into the band at this stage, as it's probably the most accessible album. Sure, of all of them, it's probably their least heavy in some places, but that didn't make it any less of a good starting point for me personally as a new fan. The usual lyrical themes of environmentalism and civil rights are prevalent as always, but take more precedence over the album, which is something I quite like. There isn't much subtlety to it, and they're very passionate about the things that they feel are wrong with the world, and they're not afraid to bring those subjects to the forefront of their songs. Along with being the band's first album to feature a guest appearance with Carl Schwartz from First Blood appearing on the song Bringing You Down, there are other great songs to be had here as well, such as Ring Loud, in brackets Last Hope, We Still Believe, which is the first song I've ever listened to by them, and Against the Wall, which is just a great track all in all. Combined with more of Gandhi's messages of peace and tolerance, as well as more modern day figures talking in interviews and discussing gay rights and equality, which is another of the band's main subjects, it's a really good effort and an amazing follow-up to the Hope Division. And finally, we reach the band's fifth album and most recent studio release in Disobedient. Much like Diamond following the Hope Division, Disobedient follows its own predecessor fantastically. Being one of my favourite albums of 2015, I do have some bias towards it, but that's just because it's so damn good. It does keep their main sound from Diamond, with it being heavier in some places, softer in others, and just having more structure. You can understand it easier. The themes of revolution and equal rights are more apparent than ever, even to the point of the cover art depicting a man struggling free of the grasp of some authority figures, or just authorities, with STYG's own version of the infinity symbol appearing on his clothing. by the way, they sort of changed their symbol since the Hope Division. They've always got something cool. Anyway, Speech is once again featured on the album, and not only does Gandhi make a return, but Charlie Chaplin stops by for a speech. You all know the one I'm on about, the Machine Man with Machine Minds and Machine Heart speech. Yeah, that's on here, and it sounds amazing, as do the guest appearances. And songs such as Nobody, The Crown, RMA, which stands for Revolutionary Mental Attitude, and the beautiful Closer and Left You Behind. Disobedient proves that the band continues to get better and better, and hopefully better. I look forward to seeing more of their stuff. Well, hearing more of it anyway. I mean, the cover art's just a bonus, but it helps. So that will do it for this episode. Clearly, my least favourite album by them was Comes From the Heart, whereas my most favourite is. It is a huge tie between the Hope Division and Disobedient, and it was hard to pick between the two, but ultimately, Disobedient won out very narrowly. My reasoning for this is that while the Hope Division was the first instance of their current sound, Disobedient just completely improved upon everything, as well as being the most versatile work to date. Regardless, I hope that you all enjoyed this episode. I'll see you in episode 7, where I'll be covering rising British metalcore stars, Bury Tomorrow. I almost said metalcore stars. Metalcore stars, Bury Tomorrow. So yeah, I'll see you all then. I might see you a bit sooner, depending on if there's any Ultimate Fighter this week. I don't know. So yeah, until then, take care. Peace.